Hey, you guys ever hear of this thing called Quickplay? From the good old days? Yeah, Quickplay, man, that's what we need back. But, why? Why is this a talking point? Why does this specific discourse just keep coming back? Was matchmaking genuinely the wrong move? Are people right to want Quickplay back? Or maybe it's that these people are wearing the promotional eyewear from the hit game series Tomb Raider because those are some rose-colored glasses. And a lot of the people saying this stuff probably didn't even play the game when Quickplay was a thing. And the people whose opinions they're regurgitating probably aren't remembering things as they actually were. So I'm here to give you the proper opinion to the facts. Alright, you know the story. It was in 2016 that TF2's main server finding process was overhauled with a more modern matchmaking system. This was not good. Even if you only started playing TF2 after Meet Your Match, or just happened to miss it at the time, you're more than likely aware of how rough the launch of TF2's casual mode was. Every time I look back at the initial release of casual, I am shocked by how bad it actually was. This has been talked about to death, so I won't go over it for too long, but here's just a quick list. You could not pick individual maps and had to queue for whole game modes, and you needed to queue for a minimum of 2 entire game modes in order to just start a search, making the likelihood of finding the map you wanted pretty slim. There was a search cooldown penalty just for leaving a casual match. On the first day, matches took an excessively long time to find. You could not kick players from these games, as I'm sure you could imagine would be quite the problem if that was still the case. Matches could not even start with less than 24 players. I don't even remember that one, but that sounds incredibly annoying. And there was no auto balance at all, though some people might consider that a good thing. And I could keep going, but the worst part was that none of the problems with matchmaking's initial release were conveyed to the community prior to it being released. If they said, hey, we got this new system, and it's going to take some time to iron out the bugs and add more features, then the community would probably have been a lot more receptive to that. I mean, yeah, they should have done all that before actually releasing it, but either way, I'm sure the response would have been a lot more forgiving if you actually kept people in the loop. And to their credit, they did make blog posts and update us along the way, and the worst of the problems were dealt with fairly quickly. Matchmaking upended a perfectly functional Quickplay system and replaced it with something that was unfinished and poorly presented. And that was a good reason to be annoyed, at the time, but that time was quite a while ago. Most of the major issues that casual started with have been dealt with. Now, there are differences between casual Valve servers and Quickplay Valve servers, but that's not really what people talk about when it comes to missing Quickplay. They often claim they miss the community servers. Matchmaking can only bring you to official servers. And there's a big reason why people are looking to alternatives to casual, you know what I'm talking about. And when people talk about this, it inevitably ends up with people longing for the good old days when Quickplay would bring them to a welcoming community server where they'd become a regular and become friends with all the other regulars and form what's the word for it? A community. Ah, there you go. And according to some of these Quickplay crusaders, trademarked, matchmaking is what killed the community server. Instead of being grouped alongside Valve servers and Quickplay, matchmaking shoved community servers to the pits of the community server tab and away from the spotlight. And that sounds like a good reason to prefer Quickplay over casual, except that's not really what happened. At least not entirely. But maybe I'm actually getting a little too ahead of myself. Way back in the day, when I first started playing, there was no assisted way of finding a server. You wanted to play the game, then you opened up this menu and you had to find one. It was on you! Kids these days don't know. And I could be wrong, but I am relatively sure that there were no official Valve servers at this time. I started playing in 2010, and I don't remember 100% of the details from then, but I am fairly positive that it was all community servers. In the same way that if you open up TFC right now and you take a look, all the servers you find will be community-run ones. All these servers were moderated and upkept by members of the community. In fact, the official voting system for TF2 was not introduced until the Hatless update in April 2011, a few months before the Uber update. And it was the Uber update itself from the summer of that year that was kind of like a soft relaunch for the game. The website was overhauled, the main menu was overhauled, and you can now also find servers with this neat little menu. And here's where, again I'm fairly sure, we finally got Valve servers. It's actually pretty hard to find information on this, but I know at this point is when there were definitively Valve servers. And these servers would be like all payload, all king of the hill, all attack defend, you get the idea. You could still search for servers the old-fashioned way, but now if you wanted to play, let's say, attack defend, all you had to do was click a button and the game would find one for you, whether they would be community ones or Valve ones. And early on, Valve servers got this reputation as being noob servers. The game was now free to play, and newer players were less likely to use the old server finding menu and oftentimes just ended up in Valve servers. But if you were a good player or a veteran, then you would go find a community server with all the cool kids and the good players. And all this was actually pre-Quickplay, or as it was originally known, Quickplay. Quickplay technically didn't come around until 2012 in the lead up to Man vs. Machine, when they finally let you basically queue with a party and all get into a server at the same time. But Valve and community servers would live in harmony until maybe around 2013 or so, when community servers started to, really suck? I mean, the quality of these servers just fell off a cliff. More likely it was a gradual decline, but it still felt really fast. These servers had tons of excessive plugins. They were pay to win, with additional benefits being given for giving the server money. There were lots of bots, and not the cheater bots we're thinking of now, but a server would claim it wasn't using the regular TF2 bots until you joined, and then it would be instantly filled up with TF2 bots. And you'd be playing with bots. And worst of all, there were ads everywhere. In the game. Servers would force you to watch an unskippable ad before you could actually start playing. You mentioned Pinion Pot of Gold to anybody who played TF2 around like 2013, and they're going to start having PTSD flashbacks. These were so bad and so invasive, I remember an ad popping up when I was already playing the game, and it forced me to stop moving, and it got me killed. And I guess these ads were there to allow people who couldn't normally afford servers to create ones, but if you need to put ads that disrupt the gameplay on a server in order to run that server, I don't think you should have a server. Sorry. And these ads were loud and annoying and awful. It was terrible. Now let me tell you about this video's sponsor. There is no sponsor, it was just a joke. But yeah, there's actually an old Star video that perfectly encapsulates the experience of what community servers were like at the time. I mean, look, if you wanted to find a 24/7 2-fort or high tower, then yeah, you could find that pretty easily. But community servers with no gimmicks, no ads, no text in your face, no plugins, with good map rotation, were extremely few and far between. But people don't like to talk about that part. No joke, I remember playing on the Furry Pound servers a few times because they were one of the only vanilla community servers with a decent map rotation. Plus I met a guy there who had one of the original golden wrenches, which is cool. And on January 23rd, 2014, they added the option to Quickplay to only match with official Valve servers. Was this unfair and limiting traffic to the actual good community servers? Yeah, kinda, but you know what? They had to do it. Community servers were getting out of control and weren't reliable. And unsurprisingly, by this point, Valve servers became the go-to. If you just wanted to play the game and not wait for a spot on one of the few decent community servers, then you could just hop into a Valve server at any time with no problems. It was fast, it was easy, it was kinda like matchmaking, sorta. And that's the thing, people like to reminisce about this pre-matchmaking era where people formed groups and made friends in community servers and things were a lot more tight-knit. And maybe that was the case before the Uber update, when community servers were all you had, but prior to Meet Your Match, that wasn't really the case. By the time Quickplay was a thing, community servers were already on the decline. And hey, if you're really old school and want to say things were better when it was only community servers and that's it, then that's fair enough. That's definitely a thing of a different era. Not bad, just different. And these days, people are probably a lot more likely to form communities on things like Discord. But I also don't think you can really have an up-to-date online multiplayer game nowadays that doesn't have official servers. And yeah, Meet Your Match and matchmaking were an attempt to modernize TF2's server finding process. It is also the update that added the official competitive mode, but that's kinda secondary. I mean, if you think matchmaking is bad because there's also a competitive mode, or blame competitive for the decline of community servers, then that's stupid. And matchmaking was honestly a long time coming. As soon as they made the Valve-only option for Quickplay, the writing was pretty much on the wall. By the time Meet Your Match came around, community servers had been pushed to the side for over 2 years. And there's no reason to believe that the current bots wouldn't be abusing official servers through Quickplay in the same way that they're doing it through matchmaking. I'm sure things would be roughly the same. But you know, community servers have gotten better. They don't have ads on them anymore, at least. So Quickplay, specifically for community servers only, would be a good thing, I think. But even now, most community servers aren't going to be vanilla TF2. I mean, yeah, I could find a trade Minecraft server pretty easily, but if I want to play Fastlane for some reason, there's not a single one. But if I want to find it through matchmaking, all I have to do is select it and wait. And look, you could criticize games for holding your hand too much or whatever, but do you really think some 15-year-old who's playing TF2 for the first time is going to look through all these servers and this antiquated menu? Probably not. People are going to take the path of least resistance. They're going to queue up for casual because it's fast and easy and it's 3 mouse clicks. It doesn't matter if you don't like that, that's just how it is. And it is objectively a good thing to make things more accessible for new players. And matchmaking did make things convenient. In a lot of ways, it was just an extension of where Quickplay was going by 2016. There are differences, like there's no more ad hoc connections, you can't just find a Valve server in a list and connect to it, you'll always have to let the game find it for you, you can't switch teams whenever you want, and casual does go based on a best of 3, where old games would pretty much keep running the same map repeatedly until the server ran out of time. Oh, and also they kinda had the auto-balance thing figured out since 2008, where you couldn't be auto-balanced if the game was about to end, and that one I don't understand. Why is it possible to be auto-balanced at the end of the game in casual? When they brought auto-balance back to casual, I don't know how they messed that up. But whatever. Casual, on the other hand, has a much better and more customizable automated map finding process. You can have it queued up in the background, and I think the level system is neat. If you want some of the older pre-matchmaking features back, just say you want them added to official servers. To revert matchmaking back to Quickplay is extremely reductive. I mean, I was there, man. I was there when we first got Valve servers, and when we first got Quickplay, and when we first got matchmaking. And there's no reason to just straight up go back. But people who want old features back aren't really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these types. You know the ones. The ones that complain about matchmaking funneling every type of player into the same match, where they'll claim that old Quickplay with its community servers would let people find the perfect server for their playstyle. And maybe community servers were like that back in, 2009, but that was 3 years before Quickplay. I have to drive home the fact that by the time matchmaking was added, most community servers weren't like that anymore. I'm not saying there weren't good servers, because of course there were, but most of them really didn't hold up to the standards that most people have when they want to play a game. And because of the current problems with Valve servers, it is a nice thought for community ones to regain some of the spotlight. And I do think that's a worthwhile effort. But this idea that things wouldn't be so bad if they got rid of matchmaking and brought back Quickplay is a bizarre talking point. Matchmaking didn't kill community servers. If anything, the January 23rd, 2014 Quickplay update did. But in reality, it was the extremely poor quality of community servers at the time that really did them in. And even now, there are still a lot of factors keeping people out of community servers. People just want to play vanilla TF2, but most of the time, community servers have gimmicks. I mean, right now, if you try to find a vanilla server with good map rotation, it's not that easy. I mean, look, not a single one of these is a regular, normal vanilla TF2 server. It is fine that they have gimmicks. I think it's good to have different options and mods and whatever for community servers, but that does mean the vast majority of people will always default to Valve servers, for the exact same reasons they have since 2014, or even 2011. Ultimately, most people just want to play regular TF2. And the community servers, as they are right now, aren't fully capable of meeting that demand, which is another reason why the just play community servers argument falls apart pretty fast. So no, going back to Quickplay is not some kind of solution to TF2's bot problem. And anytime someone says it was better because of the community servers, just keep saying Pinion over and over until they finally remember. And yeah, this was a slightly off-the-cuff video, not one that I was initially going to work on this week. But I kept seeing people talk about Quickplay and community servers, and people looking back for things that just weren't there with Quickplay, and it became annoying. And what better reason to make a video than being mildly annoyed? But anyway, that's enough of that. Thanks for watching, and a special thanks to my patrons like Varric, Captain Forex, Eggox, Colonel, Probably Vinegar, Copernicus, Kelso the Pirate, Pillsman's Fox, Some Crazy Idiot, Ozon, She-Shells, Salt God, Lavi, Taupe, Time Consuming, Man344, Nolan46, and Melodici.